Let's do this.
It's time for Hangin' with Langin.
I like that she's got a big dirty mouth that gets her in trouble.
Wow.
Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time.
Hey, how are you? Welcome to the kickoff of the third season of Hangin' with Langin. Thank you guys for hanging with me. This is our third season. I started this like the first month of the pandemic because I was going out of my mind and I don't know how to sit still and watch television. So I am so excited to introduce to you my first guest of this season. Her name is Lois Bromfield. And she has a delicious memoir called My Dirty Life in Comedy. And in it, she recounts her early days in Hollywood as an up-and-coming comedian, playing it straight on the stage, even though she's a gay woman. She was a writer on the television shows Roseanne and Grace Under Fire with Brett Butler. And she also talks about her relationship with the legendary Mitzi Shore of the Comedy Store in LA. And I have to tell you, Lois and her gay husband, Honest Engine, became, you don't have to say that, forgive me, honestly became legal guardians of Mitzi's two sons. Now she also is the creator and the star of Sorority Girls from Hell. And that was a cult classic. And I'll show you a clip of that. That was unbelievable. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the writer, creator of My Dirty Life in Comedy, Lois Bromfield. Lois! Hi.
That was really nice. That was really, I didn't know who you were talking about. I was thinking, what guest does she have? That was very nice.
That is you. That is you, my dear. Coming all the way from Germany.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that bizarre? Yeah, it's Germany. I mean, we're here. Look, it's just dark out and it was cold today. And I can't say anything in German. I mean, I've been here such a long time and people say, guten Morgen. I go, yeah, guten Morgen. You know, just say good morning, okay? Don't just fucking say good morning. I know it's guten Morgen. I know that's the language. But just say hi or hello. Don't say, guten Morgen and march down the path. Just say hello.
Well, you know, I just got back from performing in Aruba and people there speak 4 languages. Dutch, because it's a colony. I didn't know you could still have colonies. Dutch, English, Spanish, and their colloquial language called papiamento, like papamento.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. But people were so just so smart and connected. Yeah. And I thought, you know, in America, we're like, some people are like, you're in America, you speak English. And there, not one person said, you're in Aruba, speak papiamento. Not one person said
papiamento. But the thing is, we're in a little tiny town, and I'm this big lesbian from Hollywood or from, you know, wherever I'm from. And they don't know they don't want to talk to me about. So people see my dog and they say, oh, you have your dog, your Hund. I go, yes, it's my Hund. And I just want to make fun of everybody because this is their country. I can't make fun of them here, but I do it because I'm an asshole. So they say, oh, your Hund. I go, jawohl, my Hund. And then I have no friends. You can't just make fun of everybody. But
I wouldn't think you'd have many friends.
I don't. I actually do have a lot of friends here. They're really nice. People feel sorry for me because I lived in Hollywood and now I'm here. And they're like, what are you doing here? So
that's what I want to talk to you about. I mean, you met your wife, right? And she was German?
I met her when I was living in Richmond, Virginia with Stevie Moore when he was really sick. And I went down
Stevie Moore was her gay husband. Lois believes so much in gay marriage that she married a gay man. But we'll get to all of that.
I did. But he was really sick and he had just found out he was HIV positive and he was really sick. So I went down to Richmond and I lived in the house beside him. And then one night I was sitting there, it was like about maybe a year later, I went online and I'm looking for women and I'm saying, I couldn't find anybody that wasn't wearing a ball cap, you know, somebody over 40, they're wearing a ball cap and going, hi, my name's Ed. And I'm like, you know, I have to find somebody who I was really attracted to. And then all of a sudden I see this incredible looking woman and she's German and she's working in New Jersey. And I talk to her and I start talking to her online. And then about maybe 8 weeks later, she comes to meet me in Richmond, in this horrible little house I'm living in with no heat. I mean, what a great impression I made. So now that's 14 years ago. So we've been together 14 years. And then she asked me to come live here. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to live here. But I came and then I performed in London and I just started to love being in Europe because tell you something. You do stand up in London, it blows you away. It just blows you away how great they are.
Lois, I have Irish citizenship. And I have performed often in the UK and Ireland, the Edinburgh Fringe, which I hope to go to this year, COVID willing. But the audiences are smart.
Oh, yeah.
often political. You can voice yourself in a way that people aren't going to rip your face off.
Yeah. They're super smart. I mean, when I got up there, I mean, I'm in my 60s, and the audience is like in their 20s. So I go into this club, and it's just packed, and people are just drunk, but smart. And so I get up there, and I start talking about being old and about being an old lesbian, and it was just unbelievable. They were so great. And the guy said to me, "You are so funny." I said, I guess so, because this was great. Wow. Yeah. And so it made me not want to leave here ever. And to do stand up here is phenomenal. Well, then you know that.
Well, I maybe you and I will merge together this summer at some point.
Well, I want to do the Fringe Festival, but I'm going to do an online show. I want to do an online Fringe Festival with my book and filming it in New York. And a friend of mine has a production company. He wants to film. I'm going to sit in a taxi and read parts of my book and then have guests. Do you want to be a guest? Or if you're in,
I'm in. I'm going to drive you around. Yes, I will be there as she promotes.
You drive me around. You know what? That is a great idea. You drive me around and be the real. You can be like, I can't hear this book anymore. I would love that. I would love you to do that.
Thank you, Lois. I'm in. I'm actually seeing now as we create this show, I am seeing a legitimate taxi driver, and I know one. He's doing his show in Lower Manhattan.
Really?
Yes, John McDonough. He is a real lifetime hack. And you and I are not hacks.
Wow.
So I can be in the passenger seat. You're in the back. So I like it.
I do too. Okay, we talk about that later because I would love that. I would love it. I'd like to get Michelle to do some. I asked, I'm going to ask Judy Gold, and I'm going to ask Sandra Bernhard. Already said she would do, just to get in the taxi and sit there, and I force people to read a chapter. We're only going to read part of it, 40 minutes.
I think we stop at a red light and see who pops out of the trunk.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
That's a great idea. Yeah, absolutely.
Michelle Ballin, your good friend Michelle Ballin. I can hear her now. Why aren't I driving? I want to drive.
Yeah, I know.
Before me. I don't understand. I know no longer.
I should read my book. No, Michelle, it's not your book.
Michelle, she's so funny. Her. She says, hello, she loves you. We love you, B-Dog. Kathy Ladman. Hello, Kathy Ladman.
Oh, I love Kathy Ladman. These are like my favorite people in the world. Michelle, I love. I wrote about her in my book at the very end of the book when I talked about when I left California. Because that's when I met her. And then I talk about how great she is and how funny she was. And she was just great from the beginning, and how she helped me out when I was in New York and I had no money. And Michelle was like, come and sleep over at my place. I got a shelf. You can sleep on my shelf. That's what we called it. And she would come into I was dating this horrible person. They know who they are. And Michelle would come into my room, and she would look at me. I'd be on the shelf crying and smoking. And she would go, do you need $20? And I'd go, okay. And she was just like, yeah, I just never forgot. I never forget her for that. She was great.
For those of you just tuning in, my guest today, Lois Bromfield, her book, My Dirty Life in Comedy, which you can get on all the .com platforms. She was a writer for the shows Roseanne, Grace Under Fire. She is the creator and star of this amazingly delicious cult classic called Sorority Girls from Hell. Lois Bromfield.
You've never seen that before? You only just saw it?
I only saw it for the first time, and I have a clip for those who have not seen it. Okay. Let's show this, and I want to just set this up that the clip came about because the Monkees dude, Michael Nesmith, rest his soul, saw you performing at the Comedy Store in LA. Yeah. And took your bit, and you guys created a video for his television show at the time. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he saw me do the whole sketch, and he said, "I want to do this exactly the way you're doing it as a video." And so Brian Bradley, I don't know if you know who Brian Bradley is, a comedian, great comedian. He plays my date, and I play him, and we're both gay, so it was really funny. So we're on a date together, and I tell the story of why I didn't go to college.
So it's available on YouTube. You can see the whole clip. It's 4 minutes, but I cut out the first half. I cut the first half for folks to see. This is Lois playing Irma. Yeah. Did you play any other character or only Irma?
I played everybody who was speaking. I played. So I played Irma. I played one of the sorority girls.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I played myself. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. This is hysterical.
Hi, I'm Lois Bromfield. Boy, did you see the prices on this menu? Boy, this guy must be rich or something. Probably went to one of those fancy colleges. I hope he doesn't ask me about college because I never went.
So Lois, tell me, where did you go to college?
Well, I never went to college because I used to watch these movies about college life.
Right.
I came home from school one day and I was sitting watching this B-rated movie. It's kind of like a horror film and a college thing all together. And it's called Sorority Girls from Hell. And it starts off with the first three characters in the film. And you see them in the hallway, right? And it's in black and white, made in the 50s. And they're wearing like white lipstick and big beehive hairdos. And they chew gum and smoke cigarettes. And they wear like real tight skirts with a slit at the side and party pumps and real tight blouses with pointy bras. The stuff sticks to them. And their names are like Donna, Sandra, and Lori, real tough. And they'd stand there and some guy'd walk by and they'd go, "Hey, Bob, why don't you come on over later and see us?" Ah! And they were really tough and really awful. And every time you'd see them in the film, you'd hear their theme music. You'd hear this. Dun, 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 dun. So when you heard that music, you knew you were going to see the three gals, right? So in this film with these three gals was this one gal who was really weird, right? Her name was Irma Munson. Wore big glasses, real stringy hair, really awful. Carried her books like this. She was really smart. You could see around corners and stuff. And she had like short hair and glasses and like pimples. And she smelled like food and stuff. And she was like really weird. And she had cooties the whole bit. And she wore her nylons backwards, which is real tough to do. And she wore a really long skirt with a pin through her skirt, through her leg, and back through her skirt again. Every time you see her in the film, you'd hear her theme music. You'd hear this. Dun, dun. Ah. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 so you knew there was something not quite right with Irma. So every time the girls see Irma, they'd tease her and taunt her and push her and tie her to trees and give her X-lax, real mean to her. And poor Irma would walk by and the girls would go, "Look at your clothes, Irma. You can't even get a guy. Look at you. Look at you." Dun, 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 dun. Leave me alone. I've done nothing to you.
That's so funny. It's so funny to see it because it looks like it's 100 years ago. And I love that you loved it. It's great that you liked it so much. It's
I want
such a
everybody to go watch.
1985. How old were you
Sorry?
then? Like 9? 1985.
Yeah, it was 19. I didn't know about it till now. And I hope
Oh, wow.
more people go to YouTube and watch Sorority Girls from Hell. I have it on my Facebook page, you guys, and I'll repost it. Campy, insane,
It's crazy campy.
so crazy. Did it get a
And-
UK following? I could see the guys all
Oh,
like it.
God. I was not even 6 months after it aired on NBC on a special with a whole bunch of other videos. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg did a video on this show. I mean, a ton of famous people, and then me. And then we filmed it in like 12 hours. And I got in my car and drove to Las Vegas because I was doing a gig there with Mitzi at the Dunes, I think. And when I came back, I guess it was like not even a few weeks after it aired, every gay bar had the video. It was just, it was unbelievable. They all had it. They all knew the words. It was in the gay parades. People were dressed as Irma. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it really got huge. It got huge. So
I was crying when I first watched it. And that's a good thing about creating in peace. It can live again. It can be reborn.
Yeah.
So Sorority Girls from Hell, and it was on, name the show that it was on again.
it was on in 1985. It was Dr. Duck's All-Purpose Secret Sauce is the name of the video. Is the name of the video, the show, I guess. And then it's just a ton of different videos. This is one of them. And Michael Nesmith was such a brilliant, he was so brilliant. He came up to me at the Comedy Store and he said, "I'm Michael Nesmith." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he said, "I'm doing this special for NBC." And what was great was he changed nothing. He said, you're going to be on a date and you're going to tell the story. And every time I see this video, now that I've seen it so much, the only thing I look at is the woman in the back who makes a face when I'm so loud. There's a woman in the background who makes me laugh every time. She goes like this. Oh, like I just notice everybody who's around me because they're good. Funny.
Well, please go check it out, you guys, to see the second half of Sorority Girls from Hell. The whole clip is 4 minutes. It's on my Facebook page.
Great.
It is wonderful. Good for you. Something else I want to talk about, your early days in Hollywood. We're going to get to writing on Roseanne. We'll get to writing for Brett Butler.
Yeah, that's okay.
We'll get to you being legal guardian, you and your gay husband.
Yeah.
Which you get your green card. But here's what's interesting to me. You were on VH1, Rosie O'Donnell's show.
Yeah.
The Spotlight, VH1 Spotlight.
Yeah.
And, I want to show a clip of you on that show and the years that you had to spend pretending to be a straight woman to work in Hollywood, which seems now so insane, but not that long ago. I mean, we remember when Ellen came out. Oh, my gosh. So I'm going to show this clip. I do a lot of work so that you
do a lot of work
on my show. All right. I'm exhausted. Lois, please, I'm going to come to Germany. I got to get out of here. This is Lois Bromfield playing it straight on VH1 Spotlight, which would spotlight comedians. Rosie O'Donnell host, playing it straight as a gay woman, not on purpose, but because that's what the industry required.
They told me to do it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So mad. I honestly believe that alcohol can totally destroy your life. I believe this. I had a date with this really neat guy about 3 weeks ago. I was drinking champagne. And champagne will come up in the middle of a word. It's true. It's not like beer where you can go, hey, listen to this one. We're having a really nice dinner, you know, and I'm chain smoking because I'm a lovely woman, and nice long champagne glass, very romantic, and I'm acting like someone else, so he really gets to know who I am. And we're sitting there right in the middle of a word. It was so embarrassing. It was just, you know, I'm having a wonderful time. This is delicious. You know, I really find you very attractive.
That was
you can tell how old it is because I say the line is, that must be my beeper. This was no phone.
I know.
It's weird to see that. Rosie O'Donnell was so nice, though. She said to me, "That's pretty funny, Bromfield." She was exactly who she is. You know, who she is now is exactly who she was then.
I will tell you my quick Rosie story. Then I want to get back to you playing it straight as a gay woman in Hollywood. I wanted to open for Rosie O'Donnell. She was performing on Broadway, part of the New York Comedy Festival. And I called Caroline's on Broadway, said, if there's an opportunity to open for her, I would just be delighted. But she has her openers, Wendy Liebman and Judy Gold.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It's okay, no problem. She has her openers. I get a call that she wants to host rather than headline and wants another woman on the show. So
wow.
she asked around. She says, is this Langan funny? So some people, well, she didn't know me. No, so I did very well on her show. She brings me back out. Maureen Langan, who would have known? Maureen Langan, I'm so happy I met her. She was just so gracious.
Yeah, she's great.
I love her.
I mean, what happened with her talk show and all that stuff is just, that doesn't matter. She's great. She was so great to me. I loved her. And she one time when I went to New York, when I was living here, I was sitting in the audience. We were watching a play. That's it. I guess my friend Lydia and I were at a play in the afternoon. And all of a sudden I hear this, hey, Bromfield, really loud. And she was like sitting like 20 rows ahead of me. And she just stood up. Everybody was like, that's Rosie O'Donnell. But she didn't care. She just wanted to see. She saw my big, huge face. And she wanted to say hello. And she came over stomping over. And she hugged me. And I love her. She's the real deal. She's a real person, no matter what people think of her. I like her.
People will say, oh, it was a part of the ruse that she loved Tom Cruise. I think she can be a gay woman and find him adorable and love him. I find it hard that anybody would love him. But anyway, that's okay.
It doesn't matter. She's great. There's lots of people in the stand-up world that were great and wonderful, and they got shit on or treated badly, or they made a mistake or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, look at Bob Saget. Now, Bob Saget to me was just a great, funny, really nice guy. I mean, we'd go on the road together. We'd go to have breakfast and we'd have dinner. He was sweet. And some guy would flirt with me and he'd say, leave her alone. I mean, he was really like a big brother. He was such a nice man. And I hate that he's gone. And I hate that he died in a hotel room. I hate it. I hate it. It reminds me of what happened with John Candy, same thing. These people go and they're doing their work and they're just gone in like an instant. It's just terrible.
Kathy Ladman is watching, and she did a television pilot with him, with her dogs in a dog park. And it was very poignant and lovely and sweet. And I cried. And then the ending, I laughed. Anyway, so I think everybody misses Bob, but I didn't know him, and you folks did. So I only knew him as a performer. Let's get back to you. Yes. Let's get back to you, Lois. We showed the clip of you on VH1 with Rosie doing your bits about, your boyfriend and dating. Yeah. And you were saying, and it was just pretty ironic and sad in some ways, that you're like, oh, I'm dating this guy and, I'm acting, don't want him to know who I really am. So I'm putting on all these airs. Yeah. Really, nobody could know who you really were. That's the irony.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing was, the funny part, this is the decade where you clear your throat until you die. You know what it is? It's, just clearing our throats. Let me give some water. Are you allowed to drink water on the show?
No, I'm sorry. You can curse off, but no water for you.
You know what? It was just really funny because I didn't know anything about men. I'd never slept with a man. I didn't know anything. So I was just getting my information from other people.
Ever?
Never.
Oh.
I know. I had a bath with a guy once, and he got a hard on, and I freaked out. I'm like, ew! I just the whole thing was so foreign to me. And I tried to have sex. No, wait a minute. I tried to have sex with a guy in New York that I really liked when I was in my early 20s. But I told him before I'm a lesbian. He said, "Doesn't matter." I said, "Doesn't matter. This is bad for you. This is not going to turn out well for you." What do you mean it doesn't matter? That's ridiculous. Of course it matters. I don't want to have sex with. We get into bed and then he tried. It's in my book, and he's got a big boner, and I'm like, I can't accommodate you. He couldn't get his penis in me. My pussy was closed.
Oh my
like
God, funny.
It was just like hitting a door that was locked.
You know what's so funny? This is my first time on LinkedIn, and I'm watching everybody's flipping their lids.
Sorry, are we not allowed to say pussy on LinkedIn?
You know what? This is about you. You say what you want to say because I'm highlighting you. That's what that's about.
I know. I don't want you to go off the air because I said pussy. No,
off the air. I put myself on the air. This is the Hanging with Lois show.
Okay.
Nobody's the boss of me, Lois.
Okay,
all right. So I want to talk about your early days. There's something that we're going to get to writing for Roseanne. We're going to get to writing for Brett Butler. Mitzi Shore, legendary, The Comedy Store. Her son's Paulie Shore, many people know, and Peter. I know your book. Yeah, you and Mitzi were quite close, and she asked you to. Well, she liked you. She mentored you in many ways. Didn't she give you a lot of?
Yeah, we were close.
You weren't close.
We were really close. She was closer with other comics, but she liked me, and we were. And she liked me. She was good to me, and she was sweet to me. But as far as close, we didn't go out to lunch together or do things together.
Okay, so then let me just say this. You weren't close. So Mitzi Shore asked a woman with whom she wasn't close to be the legal guardian of her two sons so they could go to school in the Beverly Hills School District.
Right, and it was based on my act. Because we sat together and we talked and we laughed, and she was as close to me as other comedians. We became closer later when I was taking care of her kids. What she asked me to do is she said, "Come on, Banana, I want to ask you a favor." So I go to her office and I sit there. She goes, nothing. She doesn't sugarcoat it, doesn't give it an intro, nothing. "Listen, I want you to take care of Peter and Polly so they can go to that fucking Beverly Hills High. So you're going to have to be their guardian." No, I was just like, but she made an offer I couldn't refuse. It was like a mafia thing. And she said, I'm going to rent this house in Beverly Hills. You can live there. Maybe Steve can come live there, and you got to drive them to school. It's in my book. I have a whole thing on it. It's a whole chapter on the book about Peter.
The book is My Dirty Life in Comedy, and you can get it on all the .coms. Lois, I'm going to take a quick commercial break here, and I'll be with you.
Don't blame me.
The money rolls in. All right, folks, if you want to support Hanging with Langan, I bring you great guests, the A-team, from academics to alcoholics. There's comedians, thus the word alcoholics. A great range, historians, documentarians. It really does run the gamut. If you'd like to support the show, consider becoming a Patreon. It's a monthly subscription, and you'll get access to all the videos. And if you're cheap and you just want to download everything for free, all the audio is on Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Please subscribe. It's free. Just do that. And my comedy special is out. It just dropped on drybarcomedy.com. It's a platform that has a skillion comedians on it. It's clean comedy, but it's my act without just a couple dirty words. So Dry Bar Comedy, it's called Don't Make Me Hate You. Because I don't want to hate people. They make me hate them. I start out loving you. It's what you do that causes me to hate you. I'm a victim. And you can get any Don't Make Me Hate You products. Just go to maureenlangan.com. You'll see the merch store there. We have our aprons and coasters and T-shirts, all kinds of T-shirts. And, of course, available to host your corporate event or moderate your CEO panel. We'll put on our highbrow hat. Don't worry about it. We got you covered. Look at that professional voice coming through. Don't be afraid of Maureen Langan. All right, so my guest today, she was a writer for the Roseanne show as well as Grace Under Fire with Brett Butler. Let's welcome to Hanging with Langan, Lois Bromfield. Hello, Lois.
I love that you have a special. I'm going to watch every single thing that you just talked about. I want to see it.
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Oh, that's really impressive that you're doing that. Wow. No, it is. It's a lot. I mean, I keep forgetting about that because I don't do that anymore. I just do my stand-up once in a while and I write. But that's great that you're doing all that. I have to watch it. You're special.
You're very sweet. But I love that you're saying that to me when you have written for two of the most popular shows on the planet. Let's talk about your days working with Roseanne. I think you called her something like the lovable witch or something in one of your chapters. What interests me is that you, according to your book, I believe you were friends with her or friendly with her. So your relationship went from friends to employee. Talk to me about what it was like working with Roseanne.
It was amazing. I mean, I was friends with her very briefly because Pam Madison and I knew her from the Comedy Store. So then we saw that she was great and we became friendly, and we'd go out afterwards and eat and go places, and then we'd go to bingo games. There was a bingo game we'd go to. We took her there. Nobody recognized her, and it made her really mad because she, at that time, then she started to get she got that TV commercial. She had this one TV commercial for a grocery store. People started to recognize her from that. And then the HBO special, she asked me if I would be in it. If I would be would I do a sketch with her? And I said, yeah. So I did a sketch on her show called Femrage, and with her and her sister and I did the sketch with her. And then after that, when she got her show, which was I think not even a year later after that, I asked her if I could write on the show. Everybody asked her, and she said, you have to be able to write. And I said, okay, well, all right. So I went home and I read a book on how to write a sitcom, and it was just like, it made no sense to me because it's hard. And so then she said, I said, I'd like to let me write something. And she introduced me to the producer at the time, one of the head writers. And we talked, and he said, okay, here, you could write one act of a script. I had no clue. So I went home and I wrote an act. It was really hard. It was really, really hard. I was smoking so much, and I was crying because I thought, this is wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I took it in and they liked it. I couldn't believe it. It's in my book too. I talk about that first time when I sat on the stage at the table read, and they were reading my horrible writing, which I thought was okay, I guess. And then I got the job. So then I got the job, and she was great. You know, every time my name was on the script, she'd go, better be fucking funny, Bromfield. I mean, she was great. And if it wasn't for her, I would never have had I would never have written anything on television, because that was like the biggest launching pad for a writer, was that show in 1991.
The thing about writing that I love so much is I see it as a puzzle, all the words, and it's music. It's music too, and it all has to, like a crescendo and the denouement. I love it.
It is. But it's great. When I sit here, I watch this thing called Masterclass. I watch these people like Margaret Atwood talks about writing. Now she's got to be in her 80s. But all the books, they've written so many books. And these people sit down and they just start writing. They just write and write and write and write and write for hours a day. And she said, if you're not writing every day, I don't know what you're doing. They just tell you to be a writer is a profession. It's not a hobby. Unless it's a hobby, then you don't do it every day. But really interesting. So you're right. It's like a puzzle, and it's great to sit down and piece a story together.
I love that. I love that.
The book that I wrote about my dirty life in comedy, this was just my biography. So this was not that hard to write, because I was just talking about the things that happened to me. But then I just finished a very short novella, a little short book called Good. An American Comedian Lost in Bavaria, which is about my life in Germany.
Wait, repeat that. You went too quickly. What is the name of the novella?
American Comedian Lost in Bavaria. Bavaria is Germany. Bavaria is the whole state of Germany.
I'm not an idiot. Okay, good.
And it's no, I don't know, but nobody knows. No, people didn't know. I'm not an idiot. No, Lois, it's funny. We're off the air somewhere. What? I thought you didn't know. I don't know.
Okay, that's very cool. Bye. She's in the green room now. She's being punished. It's like in hockey when you have to go into the penalty box. I'll decide when I'm ready to bring her back out. Okay.
I don't know. Nobody knows what Bavaria is. Did you know? How did you know Bavaria?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, that's what's called. It's funny. So, I mean, I guess it's funny. I have to talk about my partner's mother. If she ever reads it, she'll kill me. But her mother's like, her mother's great. I can't say anything. She's great.
The face. I don't think her mother's so great. Just an aside, I got a little message for myself here. Thank you, Eileen. This is what Eileen said. See, Maureen, you look pretty today.
That's what somebody said.
Today. That's like my ex-husband's niece, the first time I met her. She said to me, Maureen, you look so much prettier in your pictures. See, I don't want to hate people. They make me hate them. Today, all right, like, okay, all right. So
You look pretty today.
it's so hurtful. So you're talking about how nice it was to work with Roseanne, but yet in your book, you didn't say it was always a pleasure.
Well, no, because it was hard. I mean, it wasn't, she was great to me, but she fired people sometimes for no reason. She made life hard by throwing scripts out at the last minute. So you have to stay for 2 days in a row and not go home. And she had ideas sometimes that didn't work, but she insisted on them. Yeah, there was times when it was really hard, but you get these enormous paychecks and you think, I can't bitch about this. This is a huge amount of money. And it's just ridiculous. You know, it's a ridiculous job. It's really
I
good
would be abused for that too. I would do that. But no, it sounds like do you still talk to her? Do you ever?
No, not really. I mean, the last time I have her on my page. I have her on my Instagram page. We follow each other. But I sent her my book. I don't know if she read it.
You know what? I like a strong woman who made something happen, and God love her for that.
Yeah.
Yep, I love it.
She was great. And, you know, when Tom Arnold came along, it got worse. The show got worse. But I left after 5 years. I had 4 seasons on the show. Then I went to Grace Under Fire.
But before you go to Grace Under Fire with Brett Butler, I would like to discuss further your feelings about Tom Arnold.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah, don't really have any. Because he just was, you know, he came into it and made things harder and made her less focused. That was kind of it. He didn't really
How did he make things harder?
Because he made her not focused on her show. So she was just focused on him. You know, they were just like the mad, crazy couple. So it was just harder to get things done and to get things approved and to make changes or to get her attention. And so he would say something crazy and I like that. And you go, huh. Then you have to put it in. So he wasn't sitting down and talking to us. So I think a lot of times Tom and Roseanne would sit in the room and wonder, how do these people write a show? I don't think they really knew how it worked. And so when you don't know how it works, then you just throw stuff out there and you want it to stick. And it was hard. But everybody did it. Brett Butler did the same thing. They all did it. Everybody I wrote with. And I wrote up for Amy Sherman for a season because she was she was making her way up because she wrote on Roseanne. I was writing with her then.
Well, let's back this up for people who don't know. You wrote with Amy Sherman on Roseanne. Yes. Amy Sherman is
the exec producer of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and The Gilmore Girls. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is so brilliant a show. This was the thing in her head for 20 years. It had to be. Because when I worked with her on her pilots, all her different pilots, Amy Sherman is a genius, though. She really is. I mean, she was hard to work with because she would do this. She would sit like this. And you'd go, I have an idea. No, just a second. Hang on. I mean, it's hours, it's minutes, and you could hear the clock ticking, and you're thinking, oh, I wish I smoked still. I got to go outside and smoke. She took such a long time to formulate an idea. And then she would say, all right, let's move on to page 2. Oh, God, you're like this. If she was really slow and really deliberate, but when she wrote something, it was great. She's a really great writer and really crazy person. I love her.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I mean, that's going to go down in history as one of the best shows. I really believe that.
It's such a good show. And this was all from her brain. This is coming from her and her husband, Daniel Palladino. He's also really a great writer. And together, they're brilliant. They're making brilliant television. I really admire her for taking this many years to get to what she wanted to do. It's just like this is more than 25 years before she got to do what she wanted, you know? So good for her.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know what it is too, and sometimes people get tired when we talk about women's issues, but what is really fascinating to me, so frigate, I think it's important, when you have women at the helm, you get to see women front and center of shows.
Yeah.
It's just important. It's like in late night talk shows.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to gravitate toward what you know. So if you're if you're a male talk show host, like Letterman, I loved Letterman, he would surround himself with the guys that shared his voice.
Yes.
So when you're a woman or you're laughing, like you and I are laughing, and then we're talking about the taxi show that we might do, or we will do, not might, will.
No, I will do it.
We're like-minded. It's fast, it's quick, it works.
Yeah.
You align yourself with that. Not that you would negate any men. I wouldn't. There's many guys I love bouncing off of and sparring with wit, because that's what wit is. It's a mental sparring, which I love.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just think when you see somebody like Amy creating a show like Maisel, or you see Roseanne, who created Roseanne, and you as a writer and Amy as a writer, I think that brings an element to it that I respect.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was lucky because look, it's the 80s and 90s when it was really hard to do anything that was female dominated and based. And lucky, it was really nice to do shows with only women. I mean, I worked with Lisa Ann Walters. I don't know if you know who she is. Lisa Ann Walters, she just did a show recently. She did a show called Life's Work. And it was only lasted about 6 episodes. But it was also great. And I somehow managed, my agent somehow managed to get me into every show that had to do with women. Anything that was female based and blue collar shows especially I was good at, because that was my kind of my background in a way. So it was amazing. I mean, the best story of all in Roseanne, and she even tells it, is when we had a head writer who was a Harvard grad, and he was a really nice guy. But we were all sitting around one day and we were talking about a story, and then somebody brought up the word lunch meat, and he had no idea what lunch meat was. It's like, what's lunch meat? And we had to tell him. And
do you know what pate was, though? I'm sure.
Probably. But he didn't know what lunch meat was, and it made us kind of like, how could you write on a show about this and not know what lunch meat is? So we explained it. But Roseanne found out, and she got mad. Why is he writing on this? Well, you hired him, and he's a brilliant writer. But it was so funny he didn't know what that was.
Well, see, I'm the daughter of a garbage man, so I know fried bologna.
I love fried bologna. Oh, are you really? Is your dad a garbage man?
New York City sanitation.
I love that. Do you know what? I'll tell you something. My favorite person in my family, I hated my family mostly. But my favorite family member was my uncle, who was a garbage man. And his name was Frank. And he was great. I have total respect. That's an honest job, man. That's a real job. That's not
my dad is Huey. And this is what he said yesterday. This is Huey. He's such a character from the South Bronx.
Wow.
I was at the house in Jersey helping my parents. And I said, Dad, you're watching the news in Spanish. You're not bilingual. Yeah, I know. But you know what? When I watch the news in English, it makes me crazy. At least this time, I don't know what people are saying. It makes me happy. It's insane.
That's it. And then you take the garbage, you go home at night, and you're done with your job. You're not dragging all your feelings into it.
Well,
great.
I think too, though, I did write a solo show called Daughter of a Garbage Man, it's funny, and what you learn, because he's a blend of Archie Bunker, Fred Sanford, and Marlon Brando, the early years, the fat years. Though, but anyway, right, and some woman has to corner. It's emotional too, because it talks about a family, their strengths, their struggles, their secrets, their pain. Families aren't one thing. And I get cornered by some woman, a middle-aged woman, much like myself, but not as nice and not nearly as attractive. She corners me. She goes, I don't like that you use the word fat. I used to have an eating disorder. And I go, really? Really? So the emotional abuse, that didn't have any impact on you? It was the word fat? I have an eating disorder. I go, well, who didn't? Get in line. And then she's like, well, my therapist says I should confront things that trigger me. And I go, you picked me 40 years, binging and purging all on your own. It's my fault. Really? That's my fault. Maybe if you were more likable, things would have turned out differently.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, you know what's really nice about you that I realized? You read my book and you never, ever mentioned the whole chapter about how I posed naked in New York City. It's really nice.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It's really nice that you didn't mention it. So how come she's not mentioning that? But yeah, that I posed naked for a magazine in New York.
I thought it was really friggin' funny. And
it's really true.
I was so focused on your writing and your trajectory.
I know. I just thought I'd bring up the dirty part.
So let's talk about, well, since you brought that up, let's talk about you posing nude. It was a money maker for you.
I needed $500. $500. It was a lot of money in 1980, 79, something like that. Yeah, I saw this ad and it said models needed. I was so naive. I thought, oh, great, I can be a model. Yeah, okay. And so I get there and they ask me to take my clothes off, and I take my clothes off and I'm standing there, and yeah, I just got this job doing a dirty posing thing, and then the best part, but I left out of the book, was when the guy who ran the magazine asked me if I wanted to go out to dinner one night with some people from the magazine. Okay. So he picked us up in a limousine, a really ugly old porn limousine, like purple with funny thing around, like a porn thing. Like you think you're going to get murdered inside. And we go to Plato's Retreat, and it was so awful. My shoes almost stuck to the floor. There was so much jizz everywhere. Enjoy your day. It was so disgusting. And so, sorry.
So disgusting. No, I'm with you. You're painting the picture. Go.
You can't say jizz on your show?
You can say anything, but I can react that it's creepy that you're still.
Oh, okay. Is that what it's called, or is it called something else? Because I don't know anything about it. Jizz is okay, right?
I don't know if it's still called that. I don't know. I mean, I never went to what do I know? Yes.
I love you saying I don't know if it's still called that. This is 1999 jizz.
Yeah, I don't know what the lingo is anymore. What do I know? But yes, you can say whatever you want, Lois. This is about you. But I'm picturing you in a purple car after posing naked, stepping on, like there's something about Mary on the floor.
Yeah, it was so sticky.
It's disgusting. It
was horrible. But I needed the money.
Right, but what really reels me in about your story is I was raised so Irish Catholic, so repressed, that my mother wouldn't even let me wear like a belly shirt at all. What you doing over there? You're good for nothing. You look like a whore. The neighbors will start talking. So, yeah. And I always say if I had a flat stomach, maybe I would have been a whore. But anyway.
Did she really say that to you?
Well, she said in her Irish way, what are you doing like that? Attention seeking, what people would think. My mother didn't want you to get attention for looking too revealing or too sexy.
Well, yeah. But
she's from a farm in Ireland. What do you want? Her sexy shoes were wellies. I mean, what do you want from me?
You're lucky. At least you had Irish parents. I just had silly white parents, just cold white parents. You know?
I couldn't hang out with one girl because she had really big boobs and she sang loudly. And my mother said, she's too attention seeking. What is she doing? Everybody's going to be looking at her.
Oh, I like your mother. Sounds
the thing about sweet, no, tough. And 6 kids. But you know what? We grew up in a town where a lot of kids, a number of them got into drugs, got into trouble. A lot of great kids too. But she was on us. And I was outgoing and, we'd split beers on the bleachers in the high school. But no, she kept us, which is a good thing. I don't know.
My mother was great, but my mother, when she died in 1995, and I went there. That's when I stopped working on Roseanne. I quit my job, and I went up to see her because I wanted to spend the last months with her. And matter of fact, Roseanne sent an incredible a bouquet of flowers to my mother's hospital room. I'll never forget her for that. It was like $1,000 worth of flowers, and my mother was like this. I said, "Mom, do you know who sent these?" "Yes, Roseanne Barr. I like her very much." I said, "You never met her?" "Well, she's obviously a fan of mine." No. She's my employee. I mean, my mother had this sort of like, almost like this Jack Benny kind of dryness. And, well, they're lovely, aren't they? And she's quite chubby, isn't she? Like she had that attitude. And her mother was a trip. And I used to do her in my act a little bit, but I never had a bit for it. But I always had the impression of her voice. Well,
my mother was like, it's so funny because she would just react like, you don't want your name in the papers.
Right.
And she'd always say to me, don't make a show of yourself, which is what I do for a living.
Oh, yes. How does she think of what you do for a living?
I don't know. I don't have them come because I don't want the judgment, but she knows when I did the one person show, which is very revealing. I didn't know you were doing a show. I go, Mom, I told you all about it. I thought you were writing a book. Like she was embarrassed that's on stage, but if it were permanent in a book, I guess. So I was at the house I told you yesterday with my father watching Spanish news that he doesn't understand. And I said to my mother, did you see my shoes? I think they're on the side of the couch. So I go to the side of the couch. There's no shoes, but there's an axe. There's an axe. I go, we have an axe? What do you have to grind? What are you grinding here?
Yeah. What do you have to grind?
But listen, it's about you here. I want to promote your book. Lois Bromfield, writer for Roseanne, Grace Under Fire, creator of the cult classic Sorority Girls from Hell, My Dirty Life in Comedy on all the .coms, on Amazon. It's really delicious. And before I let you go, Lois, I do have to ask you, though, about working with Brett Butler. We didn't get to that.
It was great. She was fine. She was funny. She talked like this all the time. She'd come into the room and give notes, but nobody had a clue what she was saying. Because she'd say, yeah, on page 9, you got to to go something in there. It's not working really good.
God love her. I wish her well. She's talented.
But she's doing really well now. She's sober and clean a long time.
Good.
And she's good. She got out of Hollywood, thank goodness. So, but lucky me. I worked with great women. So
you have. You know who I have to ask you this. You married a gay man, green card.
Yeah.
Sounds one of your closest friends in the world reading it. What a beautiful relationship you had.
Yeah.
Who officiated your wedding? Do tell.
Sandra Bernhardt. No,
I didn't know. Yes, you're asking me who officiated.
No, I thought it was a quiz. I'm like, oh shit, it's a quiz. I'm not going to answer it right. She has information I don't have. Yes, she officiated my. Got to get a bag. Yes, Sandra Bernhardt. She officiated my wedding. We had a great wedding. She wore a paper jumpsuit. It almost caught fire. The police came 3 times. Diane Nichols brought food. You know Diane Nichols. She only person who brought food. We were all so drunk. It was 100 comedians. Everybody, Taylor Negron and Paul Mooney, and just everybody who was young and starting out. It was great.
And this was in an apartment. Your apartment or house?
This was her apartment on Norton Avenue in Hollywood, in this little apartment she had when she was just starting out too, Sandra.
Who doesn't love Sandra Bernhardt? Now that is a woman who embodies strength, and I just love her.
Me too.
World of her. She is a broad, but she has a softness and a kindness I can see in her.
She's a really great. Have you ever done her show?
No, but my old radio producer, my former radio producer, she's not old, now produces for Sandra Bernhardt.
Great. You should do her show.
I don't know Sandra. Oh, well, you'll work that out. You should. Have you been on the show about your book yet?
Yeah. Yes. Good. I've been on the show about her book. We did it from here, which was great. Instead of me having to come to New York, I did her show in 2018. And I did her show this past year, 2020.
Lisa Montaneo was her producer, and she was mine for a long time. Monty.
Well, anyway, I love her. So yeah, I mean, this has been such a weird 2 years with the virus. But I got to tell you, it's a great time to write books. It's really the only thing you can do besides smoke and drink and sleep and yell at the cat. It's
a great time to learn StreamYard over and over again.
But you're a really good host, by the way. You're good at this. You're way better at this than a lot of people. Some people are not good at it. They just ask straight questions and they're nervous, and you're not. So it reminds me of the good comedians. Good comedians, yay!
Well, I was a journalist for many years and a broadcast journalist before.
That's what
it is.
It's
very interesting because people who don't get to know you, I had a program director in San Francisco. Comedians don't make great talk show hosts. Well, why don't you read my background and listen to the show? Yeah, I've never listened to it. All right. Well, that's great. Good luck to you, piece of crap.
Yeah. You're good at it. You can see that you have journalism because you have a smoother way of doing things instead of a sad. And you also show video, which is great. I've never had a podcast where somebody's showing my videos. It's great.
And people can see that on Patreon. If you want to see the videos and you want to see Lois live, of course you can hear all the audio. I will be uploading it to Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Love if you would subscribe. That's for free. But for just a small amount, you can become a Patreon, and that means you're supporting the show. And you just simply go to patreon.com, Maureen Langan, and you will get access to all the videos. And I put funny stuff. I put the toilet talks up there because when my parents are crazy, like with the axe, I go into the bathroom and I tell people what's going out in the living room and kitchen. I'll be posting the axe one and the Spanish one today. But go to patreon.com/Maureen Langan. And also, too, I would love if you would go to drybarcomedy.com. My special just dropped, drybarcomedy.com. And it's called Don't Make Me Hate You. And you can get all the Don't Make Me Hate You merchandise at maureenlangan.com. Lois's book is My Dirty Life in Comedy. We're going to go out on a clip of her cult classic. Here's her book. Look at that woman with that attitude. A memoir by Lois Bromfield. You can follow her. Her website is loisbromfield.com. Get her book. I just downloaded it on Kindle straight from Amazon. Just support, and you're going to love it. It's dishy. It's hysterical. She covers the gamut from posing nude to going to a disgusting nightclub place with people who like to pose nude a lot. I don't care. As long as you leave me alone and don't hurt kids, live your life.
Yeah.
Those are my only. Michelle Ballin, she says, hello, she loves you. Ellen Orchid, very enjoyable. Thank you both. Great job. Lois, I'm going to go out. For those of you just who missed it at the top of the show, Lois created this cult classic she did her stand-up. It was Michael Nesmith of the Monkees saw it. He had a show called
Dr. Duck's All-Purpose Secret Sauce. Yeah, really difficult.
Yes. Good luck to you finding that. But
Yeah.
So he saw her on stage in LA, took her bit. They created a video of it. Lois, I'm going to ask you to stay with me so I can say goodbye to you after. But thank you for being with me all the way from Germany.
I loved it. Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful.
From Bavaria. Thank you.
From Bavaria, which you don't know. No, this was great because I needed this because, how many times can you say good morning? This is nice. So.
All right, we're going to put you back. You're a gem. Lois Bromfield, My Dirty Life in Comedy. We're going to go out. You guys, this is the best. I am telling you. Here she is playing Irma. It's the first 2 minutes. You can get the full video. Watch it on Facebook, my Facebook page. Follow me there. Or you can get it on YouTube. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Lois Bromfield. Boy, did you see the prices on this menu? Boy, this guy must be rich or something. Probably went to one of those fancy colleges. I hope he doesn't ask me about college because I never went.
So Lois, tell me, where did you go to college?
Well, I never went to college because I used to watch these movies about college life.
Right.
I came home from school one day and I was sitting watching this B-rated movie. It's kind of like a horror film and a college thing all together. And it's called Sorority Girls from Hell. And it starts off with the first three characters in the film. And you see them in the hallway, right? And it's in black and white, made in the 50s. And they're wearing like white lipstick and big beehive hairdos. And they chew gum and smoke cigarettes. And they wear like real tight skirts with a slit at the side and party pumps and real tight blouses with pointy bras. The stuff sticks to them. And their names are like Donna, Sandra, and Lori, real tough. And they'd stand there and some guy'd walk by and they'd go, "Hey, Bob, why don't you come on over later and see us?" And they were really tough and really awful. And every time you'd see them in the film, you'd hear their theme music. You'd hear this. Dun, 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 dun. So when you heard that music, you knew we were going to see the three gals, right? So in this film with these three gals was this one gal who was really weird, right? Her name was Irma Munson. Wore big glasses, real stringy hair, really awful. Carried her books like this. She was really smart. You could see around corners and stuff. And she had like short hair and glasses and like pimples. And she smelled like food and stuff. And she was like really weird. And she had cooties the whole bit. And she wore her nylons backwards, which is real tough to do. And she wore a really long skirt with a pin through her skirt, through her leg, and back through her skirt again. Every time you see her in the film, you'd hear her theme music. You'd hear this. Dun, dun. Ah, ding, ding. Dun, 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 dun. So you knew there was something not quite right with Irma. So every time the girls see Irma, they'd tease her and taunt her and push her and tie her to trees and give her X-lax, real mean to her. And poor Irma would walk by and the girls would go, "Look at your clothes, Irma. You can't even get a guy. Look at you. Look at you." Dun, 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 dun. Leave me alone. I've done nothing to you.
Sorority Girls from Hell. You guys follow me, MaureenLangan.com. Go to the Facebook page to Hanging with Langan, and I'll keep you updated on upcoming segments. This will be uploaded to Apple, Spotify, etc. Thanks again. You know the routine. Until we meet again. Bye, wig.
No, you cannot leave me like that.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, and feel free to share it with a friend.
Please don't go, please.
I'll be back.
Au revoir.